Hey guys, welcome back to Carson. Today we're doing my NFL Week 5 score predictions. Finally, they are here on Thursday. And this should be coming out 4 hours before the Thursday night game. So I hope, you can look, see what my predictions are, maybe see some other YouTubers' predictions, and then, go ahead and watch the game and see how they go. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and go through, and these are score predictions. So we're going to talk about each game, and then we're going to reveal the score, who wins, and I have started putting a lock of the week. This isn't necessarily like a big blowout, but this is the game that I'm most sure of. It could be a 3-point win and then like have another game that's a 40-point win. I still pick that as a lock of the week. That's just a game that I think 100% I am almost sure of the person who's winning. I'm almost completely sure. I'd be very shocked if it wasn't. So just had to say that because my lock of the week is nowhere near like the biggest point difference that I have like in this week, but just thought I'd let you guys know. Alright, so starting out, we got Thursday Night Football, which is just later today. We have Bears versus the Buccaneers. We have the Super Bowl 52 matchup, kind of. Well, the same quarterbacks, but this is actually the first time that two quarterbacks who played in the Super Bowl are playing again, but on different teams. I saw that stat somewhere. That's so weird. But anyways, so here we go. We have the Bears versus the Buccaneers. It's been a few years since they were in the playoffs, but they're both still doing pretty well. Well, at least Tom Brady is the Nick Foles. Last week he didn't play too well. I know he was going up against a really, really tough Colts defense, but still they did underperform. Only 11 points is really, really low for any NFL team, really, even the Jets or the Giants or any of those bottom of the barrel teams. And really, really, this is going to be all about their defense. They're going to have to hope that something crazy happens and maybe Tom Brady starts playing terribly again. I don't know. I know that Leonard Fournette is doubtful. They could use that to their advantage. I know Chris Godwin is out for this game. Mike Evans is questionable. So if Mike Evans is out for this game, and I don't know. If Mike Evans is out, maybe they have a chance. But right now, I'm just not feeling it. I see they get beat by 10, 24-34 here. And the Buccaneers get another win. They're really bouncing back really hard from that Week 1 loss. They lost one game, and that kind of enraged them, and now they're winning looking at this 4 straight. But right now, it's only 3. And for all we know, maybe Nick Foles can come out here and, show some of that energy he's got and win a game. Next up, we have Titans versus Bills. Now, this is if this actually goes on, because we know the Titans, they have a lot of COVID cases right now, so it's kind of spotty. But right now, this game is scheduled to happen, so I'm going to have it on here. Titans are going to be playing the Bills, two really, really good teams, in my opinion. You have the Bills, who have a really, really tough defense, and, obviously on that offense, you've got Josh Allen, you've got John Brown, you've got Stephon Diggs. You have such an amazing offense to complement that defense, And then you look at the Titans, and they also, you've got Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. He's questionable, but we're going to hope that he gets in there. They do still have a really strong offense, but I'm not very sure about the Titans' defense. I know it's really good, but I don't know if it's good enough to keep up with this offense. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I do still think the Bills come out of here with a win, 35-31, and they are now going to be 5-0. So this will be pretty big for the Bills. 5 wins is more than a lot of teams are going to get in their entire season, or as much. So, Bills fans, y'all should be getting pretty hyped right now, because y'all are for real. All right. Next up, we have Texans versus the Jaguars. And the Texans really haven't been playing that well. And ever since Week 3, the Jaguars have kind of been plummeting. Really, they had their best performance so far in Week 1, and then it's gone downhill from there steadily. And both of these teams are 0-. Wait, no. The Jaguars are 1-3, Texans are 0-4. Both of these are in the division, so this could end up being probably not. These are the bottom 2 teams, but I guess technically this could end up being a pretty if the Texans take off and the Jaguars go back to how they were in Week 1, this could potentially be a pretty important matchup later in the season. As of right now, though, despite the fact that they fired Bill O'Brien, which I guess was a good move, but I mean, anytime you fire a head coach, you only take a little dip. I do still think that the Texans are still good enough to get the win here over the Jaguars, and the Jaguars, they fall to 1-4 and they start plummeting. The Texans, they go out from the bottom. Now they are, if they win this game, they'll only be third in their division. So congratulations to them. And next up, we have Ravens versus Bengals. This game, a lot of people are probably going to have as a blowout, but I am not. We have seen the Ravens, they're like 30th in passing right now. Their passing game is not that good. Their offense really isn't playing as well as it did last year, definitely. The Bengals, on the other hand, are playing great. And plus, to add to the fact, Lamar Jackson did not practice today, and he is questionable for this game. So if he's out, then they're going to have to rely on RG3. So I think, not even looking at what I have right now, but if Lamar Jackson is out of this game, I do think that the Bengals will win 100%. But right now, I mean, you've got Joe Burrow, and he is already looking like such a good quarterback. The Bengals made such a right choice. I mean, he is playing like amazingly. If the Bengals play the Chargers, that will be an amazing matchup to watch, because right now both of Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow are both playing really, really well. That being said, the Ravens do have a very, very good defense, and going up, I mean, a rookie quarterback having to go up against this, I think they can keep it close, but in the end, I do still think that the Ravens get the win here by 4, 31-27. A pretty good game. Maybe the Bengals like start to come back. Maybe it's 31 to like 17 or something. I don't know. I just do think that the Bengals will, score a couple points towards the end. Overall, though, the Ravens do get a win here. They go to 4-1, and they advance. I don't know what they're advancing in, but they advance in the win column, I guess. All right, and this one we have Falcons against the Panthers. The Falcons, what is happening? Y'all are 0-4, but really y'all have all the talent in the world. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan. I mean, it's insane the amount of talent on that offense, and y'all are 0-4. Y'all are racking up points like crazy, and y'all are 0-4. Y'all keep on being scored on. Meanwhile, the Panthers, Christian McCaffrey got injured, and all of a sudden they started playing really well. I mean, it's like they started trusting. It's like they decided, you know what, if our number one running back gets injured, we're going to have to trust our quarterback. So they put the ball in Teddy Bridgewater's hands, and he has delivered. They beat the Chargers, and then they beat the who'd they beat? I live in North Carolina. I should know this. Who'd they beat? Come on. They beat the Cardinals by 10 points. So right now, Panthers actually kind of surprising me. Their offense is racking up the points. Not too sure about their defense, though. It's kind of the same with the Falcons. Their defense, I'm not really, too high on right now. So I'm going to actually have a pretty close game. And actually, the underdog is going to get the win here, because I think the Panthers actually pull off the win 35-31 to go 3-2. Meanwhile, the Falcons fall to 0-5. They're probably going to be the best 0-5 team. We see a lot of teams that, in my opinion, are better than their record, like not having any wins. Like if the Texans manage to lose to the Jaguars, that will be just terrible. But right now, the Falcons, they really don't deserve to be 1-4. They deserve to be higher than that. It's just a sad story for the Falcons, but the Panthers are playing insanely well, and I think that they will get the win here. Next up, we have the Chiefs versus the Raiders. Chiefs playing like the number one team in the league. It's insane. They're playing really well. The Raiders, they had a pretty good stretch there. Those first few games, but they beat Carolina. They beat the Saints somehow. People were really high on them. They had a pretty good game against the Bills, and then they kind of flopped against the Patriots. Oh, no, I think he flip-flopped those. I don't know, but they've kind of been playing a bit worse. And now they have to go up against another really, really tough team. And I think they kind of continue the bit of a downward spiral they've been going in so far. And the Chiefs extend their record of 5-0. They get the 10-point win here against the Raiders, a pretty important divisional game. I mean, if the Raiders have an easy schedule coming up, this could easily become a pretty important game, because the Raiders, they could probably beat a lot of subpar teams right now. They are definitely up there. They've been having some pretty rough games in the past couple of weeks. All right. Coming up next, we have the Jets versus the Cardinals. The Jets almost universally decided to be the worst team in the league right now, and somehow Adam Gase still has a job. It's insane. And now you've got Joe Flacco going into this game, which I guess isn't too bad. I think he might actually be a bit of an upgrade, actually. A tiny bit of one. Like, it's not going to be a huge difference, but it might be small. You might see, like, 20 more yards than he would with Sam Darnold in this game. So it's might not even affect the score much. I'm just saying, it's not going to do anything terrible. Joe Flacco is probably around the same talent as Sam Darnold, which is not saying anything good for Joe Flacco. It's saying, well, it's not saying anything good I don't know. They're both pretty bad in my opinion. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, they've had 2 pretty bad games, but they are still 2-2. They did still have 2 pretty dominant wins there at the beginning of the season. They kind of fell off to the next 2, but I think they get a bounce back game here, and they actually beat the Jets in my lock of the week. Normally, I guess I forgot to put, but normally I have a slide with just a score and I put lock of the week, but for now, I'm going to just point that lock of the week, not just for now, but forever. And again, there's going to be, we have the Cardinals winning by 15. I'm pretty sure I have like a team winning by like 21 or something, I'm pretty sure, and it's still not my lock of the week. I am just 100% sure that the Cardinals will beat the Jets. I don't care what the score is. Out of all these games, I'm 100% sure the Cardinals will beat the Jets. Now, next up, we have the Steelers versus the Eagles. The Eagles, completely falling apart, and yet they're the number 1 team in their division at 1-2-1. The Bengals are dead last in the Steelers division, and they are 1-2-1, and yet in the NFC East, the team can go 1-2-1 and win the division. It is insane. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of the NFC East is 7-9 or something. We've seen that before. I would be 100% not surprised to see it happen again this year. It's crazy. But looking at the Steelers, they are 3-0 right now. They're leading their division. They have a really strong defense. And they have a pretty good offense too. I think this defense should be able to sack Carson Wentz like crazy. And then I don't think the Eagles will get much going. And I see a pretty big blowout here, 34-13, which, I guess, pretty ironic there. I was talking about how I thought I had a 21-point win, and then boom, it's the next game. But it's still not my lock of the week, mainly because I could we've seen the Eagles pull stuff off before. Carson Wentz has had some pretty good wins. We've seen them do some crazy stuff. Especially when they know if they lose, they will most likely lose the division. Because right now, with Washington playing a pretty good game against the Rams, in my opinion, you'll see what I think about that in a couple games. Actually, I think it's next game. So let's go ahead and flip over to that. And with the Cowboys playing against the Giants, they really need to win this game in order to keep the division. Speaking of this division, Washington over here, if they win this game, which they very well could, then they will most likely probably, looking at how I had the Eagles losing by 21, they will probably be up there tied for first in the division unless the Giants do something crazy. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a second. I haven't gotten to that game yet. Crap. Well, right now, Washington playing the Rams. And as you know, Washington decided that, hey, Kyle Allen is the guy. They put in Kyle Allen. They stuck Dwayne Haskins in third. He's not even going to dress this Sunday, I was seeing. He had a career-high passing yards. He had no interceptions. However, a lot of that was in, the late game, dump-offs towards the end of the game where the Ravens had basically already won. And he also made a lot of bad decisions, it was 4th and go from the 12, and he threw, I don't know, but he threw a short pass, a 4-yard pass. So yeah, not the best decision making. I think I think what they're thinking is okay, we're 1-3, okay, and we have a really good chance at winning this division. Actually, this is exactly the thing, and I was watching that press conference earlier. And so I guess they think that their best chance of winning right now is with Kyle Allen, so they put Kyle Allen at starter, and I think that definitely boosts them up a whole heck of a lot. Crap, I clicked. And I didn't even get to talk about the Rams. The Rams, on the other hand, though, they do still have a really strong defense. I think they'll be able to kind of shut that down. And also their offense has been showing itself to be really good. So sorry that I accidentally clicked and showed you the score, but it's whatever. You already knew. So the Rams get the win here. And yeah, next up we have 49ers against the Dolphins. Whew, 49ers, y'all lost to the Eagles last week, which is pretty bad. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, y'all kept it close with the Seahawks, and before that, y'all kept it close with the Bills. The Dolphins might actually be one of the most underrated teams, because, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been having some pretty good games. I know last week he threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, but he had over 349 passing yards or something. He's having some pretty good games in a row here, which is pretty rare for him. But looking at it right now, they are playing pretty well despite the fact that they are 1-3. And going up against this injury-ridden 49ers team, I'm going to actually have the Dolphins with the upset win here, 28-24. And I think, the 49ers fans start to get kind of worried whenever your team is 2-3. But right now, the Dolphins, I think y'all are actually doing pretty well. And I think especially when Tagovailoa gets in there, y'all could actually have a chance, possibly, to maybe sneak in a wild card slot. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I'm also not saying it won't. I mean, All right, next up, we have Cowboys versus Giants, the game I was talking about. You have the Cowboys who, really, their offense is doing really well, especially in the passing game. Ezekiel Elliott has been underperforming heavily. He's been going up against some tough defense and playing pretty badly. The Giants, on the other hand, they've only scored 3 touchdowns this entire season, which most teams have already scored in like one game. Y'all have gone 2 games without scoring a single touchdown. Y'all are playing pretty badly. It's really no question here. I'm actually going to have the Cowboys winning by 15 here. I could potentially see the Cowboys flopping again and the Giants pulling off something. It's happened before. We've seen games like this. It's not my lock of the week because I could see the Giants. Daniel Jones, he's had some good games. Danny Dimes comes out of here, wins for all we know. That could happen. So, meanwhile, I'm just going to have the Cowboys winning 31-16, but it's not my lock of the week. Might be really, really close to it. It was a pretty big competition between this game, the Eagles game, and the Cardinals game. All right, next up, we have the Patriots versus the Broncos. The Patriots, right now, they have Brian Hoyer starting, but last week they put Jarrett Stidham in towards the end of that game, and all he did was throw 2 interceptions to a touchdown. So Brian Hoyer definitely played way better, but still he played pretty badly. They focus a lot on their running game. They have Damian Harris, James White, and Rex Burkhead. All 3 of those guys can really get they can get yards. They have a really, really good running game. And I'm looking at the Broncos. Of course, they have, let me check just to see who they have starting. Right now, as long as Drew Lock is still injured, which I'm going to assume that he is, Brett Rypien is still going to be their starting quarterback. He got them the win last week, but of course that was against a terrible defense in the Jets. And despite the fact that Stephon Gilmore now has COVID, the Patriots still have a really, really, really strong defense. And I think they're going to have a pretty low-scoring game here, but I think the Patriots can get the win 20-14. Get pretty lucky, in my opinion, to go up to 3-2. Just holding out until Cam Newton can get back in there. Right now, I think the Patriots do get the short little win here. I could see Brett Rypien pulling something out. I could see this Patriots defense struggling with basically their leader out and this offense kind of flopping, though they did manage to keep it close for 3 quarters against the Chiefs. That last little bit, it was all Chiefs there. But yeah, next up, we have the Browns versus the Colts. This is going to be a really great game. You have the Browns, whose offense has been taken off, against the Colts, whose defense has been playing really, really well. We saw that especially last week against the Bears. They finally forced the Bears to get their first loss of the season. And yeah, so a pretty good game. The Browns, right now, Nick Chubb is on IR. That's pretty bad. However, we saw last week Odell Beckham Jr. is back into things. He was doing really well. He had lots of yards, lots of touchdowns, doing great. Kareem Hunt, on the other hand, has been doing insanely well as a running back and as a receiver. Actually, he's doing really well. So I think going up against this Colts defense, I think the Browns are going to actually be able to get around that, and I don't know if the Colts offense is good enough to catch up. So I think it's not going to be like a blowout or anything, but I do still think the Browns are going to win 28-24 here. And I think, I think it'll be a really close game. I could definitely see it being 24-21, and then the Browns going down the field scoring a touchdown. I don't know why I always talk about situational stuff like that. No one cares. Just say the score and move on, Carson. Next up, we have Sunday Night Football. Seahawks versus Vikings. Oof, tough game here. Not to pick, but just probably going to be tough to watch. You have the Seahawks, who have been dominating teams lately, going crazy, really. I mean, they are playing really, really well. I mean, last week they did allow the Dolphins to keep it close against them, but still, the Vikings, on the other hand, they played pretty. They've definitely been playing nowhere near as well as they did last year. But in these last 2 weeks, they've played much better. They've seemed improved, at least from the first 2 weeks. They got their first win last week. However, I do think that, the Seahawks, they are just such a powerhouse that I think they continue their winning ways, and they win by 10 here, actually 38-28. I think the Vikings, though, they do keep on improving. I think they can play better than they did last week and still lose to 38-28. Their defense, though, the Vikings' defense is really poor, and that is kind of what gets them the loss here. Surprisingly, a really good Monday Night Football game, Saints versus Chargers, coming into this week. Well, not in this week, but coming into the season. I kind of thought this would be a blowout, or we all would. But right now, seeing how well Justin Herbert has played, seeing how, he forced the Buccaneers and the Chiefs both to have a dramatic comeback against him. They've really seemed energized whenever he is out there on the field. Meanwhile, the Saints have been underperforming, in my opinion. They lost to the, obviously, all the way going back to week 2, where they lost to the Raiders. And they go out, they have a pretty good game, against the Packers, but really didn't play at their best. Last week, they barely, it was actually a scoregami, 35-29. It was the first time that a score of 35-29 had ever happened in an NFL game, so congratulations to that. But they are still 2-2. The Saints, though, they haven't been playing at their best. The Chargers, on the other hand, have been playing great, so I think they can keep it close, but you still got to understand the Saints are such a dominant team that I think they can get the win here. However, it's going to be by only just 3 points, 37-34, and that's that. That is the Monday Night Football game. That is the last game that's going to be played this week, hopefully. And by hopefully, I mean hopefully we don't have any COVID-19 cases happening. So yeah, I definitely hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you subscribe to see some more. We do this kind of stuff every single week. We do predictions, we do power rankings, we do weekly recaps, Thursday night recaps, Monday night recaps. I'm a Washington fan, so every week I do a preview of the Washington game, and I just react to the Washington game. So you can, even if you're not a Washington fan, it might be fun just to see me sit there and rant about my terrible team that I'm a fan of. Or if you're a Washington fan, it might, be cool to actually watch a Washington YouTuber. If you are a Washington football team fan, may I give you a suggestion? DMV Sports Zone is a really, really good YouTuber who's a Washington football team fan. He does a lot of cool stuff. He's not biased at all. In the 4 games that we've played so far, he's 4-0. He thought we would beat the Eagles, and he thought we would lose these 3 games. Not going to spoil it, but he's predicting us to do pretty good this week too. But yeah, anyways, I should go ahead and plug him. He's really great. I watch him every week, almost every video he puts out. Please subscribe to me too. I feel like I plug him more than I plug me, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but yeah. In my description, you'll find all of my, dang, my mic is loud. I'm sorry if that's annoying. Alright, 22-minute long video. Thanks for watching this. Thank you very, very much. I hope to see you in the next one. In fact, I bet